Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know that this is my series in which I am doing a dive into a very unique and beautiful deck called The Tarot of the Holy Light by Christine Payne-Towler. And this is a deck that was created after her extensive research into the continental tarot system, which is very different from the system that I grew up with, and perhaps you grew up with as well. This is a system based on the Golden Dawn traditions. For example, the Rider-Waite-Smith, or its various iterations, or the Thoth deck, and its some fewer, but still iterations. And so what do I do? If you're new here, let me tell you my process. Every day, I draw a card, a daily draw. And I look at that card and I acknowledge the ideas, the memories, the symbols, the connotations that I remember based on my experience with Rider-Waite-Smith or the Thoth deck. And I try to detangle those from the image that I see on the card in front of me. Now, I acknowledge them, and in acknowledging them, I try to set them aside. And to help me unpack the card that I received for the day, I do a 3-card spread. First card is the significance of the daily draw. The second card is the potential obstacle, and the third card is the advice. A typical 3-card spread. And then I live my day. And at the end of the day, I pull out my guidebook for the Tarot of the Holy Light, and I read the entries surrounding the card that I got for the day to understand the meanings as was intended by the creator, Christine Payne-Towler. I don't know what's going on with my voice today. And so I reflect on the day again and see how those meanings emerged for me, how they manifested for me or did not during the day. And so then I make this video. And so the card that I got today was this one, the 2 of Wands upright. Now this deck is intended to be read with reversals. This one came up upright. And I tried something a little different today for today's card. Usually I shuffle and pull the card in the morning. But when I was on an airplane recently, mere days ago, one of the stewardesses noticed that I was reading cards by myself in my section and my tray. And sometime later, she talked to me asked me what cards came up, and we got into talking a little bit, and she said that she has done this in the past, and it's been very interesting for her. What she's done is she has shuffled the deck and pulled her daily draw, but instead of looking at it, she just stuck it under her pillow and slept with it overnight, and then tried to remember what dreams might have showed up, and then looked at the card in the morning to see if there was any association, any match, anything like that. And so that's what I decided to try doing last night. I probably will try doing it a few more times. So I pulled this card actually last night, and I didn't look at it. I stuck it under my pillow. I had my dreams, but frankly, I'm still not sleeping well. I sleep in fits and starts, and most of it's catnaps, and half of what happens during that period is dream, semi-dream, I have no idea. So I had some dreams. One dream was about reminded me of the Magician card. And so half of me thought of, so when I wake up in the morning, there'll probably be the Magician card underneath my pillow, but it wasn't the Magician card. There were a couple of other dreams, half dreams. Again, like I said, I didn't sleep well enough for me to really fully process what was happening to me during the night. So I woke up, I looked at the card, and then I pulled my 3 cards for helping me unpack. But before I talk about that, I'm just going all over the place today. And maybe that's what this card is telling me is about. But full disclosure, I told you I wasn't sleeping very well. When I looked at the card, I mean, it's really, really clear. This isn't the Four of Wands. This really is not the Four of Wands. But when I looked at the card in the morning, I was sure I was seeing Four of Wands. And I was thinking, well, that's interesting. Four of Wands day. So I was thinking Four of Wands, but clearly it's the Two of Wands. And I was thinking I saw Capricorn down there at the bottom. Why? I don't know. There's no Capricorn here. It's Aries ruled by the sun. It's so bizarre. So bizarre. And I also noticed the two Leo signs in the sun, which I'm a Leo, so I was happy to see those. But I swear to all that is holy, on all that is holy, I saw the Four of Wands and I saw Capricorn as an association. So then I pulled my 3 cards, and let me show you those 3 cards right now. So those 3 cards, interesting, yeah? The Ace of Swords, the Three of Wands, and then the Nine of Cups. So Ace of Swords. And you'll notice here, and I noticed this part, even while I was confused about being the 2 or confused about it being the Four of Wands, you'll notice this ray of light and this ray of light really struck me today. Really struck me. And thinking that, okay, so this white light is going to be significant for me today. This white light seems to be causing a lot of fire down here, whereas this smoky red seems to be causing life and growth, green, whereas this is red. I don't know. Those were some things that were swinging around in my mind, but white light, clarity. So maybe some clarity would happen for me today. The obstacle, Three of Wands. So what this told me was, for at least what I thought was, go ahead and make plans, but don't start anything today. Don't actually start doing anything today. Planning is fine. Going ahead and starting to put those plans into action today would be an obstacle. That's what I saw. And so the advice was to live in satisfaction. Live in satisfaction with what is right now. That made absolute sense to me. And so I lived my day. And at the end of the day, like I always do, I pulled out my book. And let me read a bit of this. I'm going to read the very first 2 paragraphs just as they are, because I think they're very important. The Two of Wands illustrates the 2 ways that matter receives solar force. On the one hand, the force is experienced as friction, pain, discomfort, and stress, all of which can be summarized in the word wrath, which reminds me of the tree of life. Yeah, there's the pillar of wrath and the pillar of compassion. The descending pillar of wrath and the rising pillar of compassion. This experience is symbolized by the dark fulmination on the left, shown paired with the green fire of vegetative life. Here we see the natural conservatism of instinct at work, resistance to change, unthinking reflex action, reversion to more primitive responses that are intractable to cultural modifications. Yeah? This side is what she's talking about here. Yeah? The very same energy in different circumstances is experienced as a warmth and light, compassion and reconciliation, shown here paired with the red fire of human blood, summarized in the word love. So here she's talking about this side, and she sees this as a red fire. It looks yellow to me, but yeah, this is the clear ray of love. Let me read a little bit more about that. Without the smoke and smoke and fumes of the wrath fire obscuring the atmosphere, the light is free to penetrate from its celestial source to directly touch and inspire the lives below. From his benign position above all polarities, the sun watches over the process and supplies the energy required to turn wrath into love. So this is turning that smoky, burny, dark red to me fire into the pure crystalline light of love. Those who have the awareness to separate the light from its myriad effects will be much better able to handle the extremes without losing their faith or their drive. That kind of makes sense, doesn't it? The Detrius of last season, now there's some benefits to this darker side. Yeah, this darker side of wrath is not just something we want to avoid. It provides benefit. What benefit? The Detrius of last season releases its stored energy as the soul's many creatures come out of dormancy to feed and multiply. The green fire immolates everything that represents outworn forms to feed the awakening new life of the earth. The coals and ashes, all that remains of the past, become fertilizer for future growth and fruiting. And paradoxically, that very same force that swells the bud on the branch rots the seed pod at the tree's roots. And rotting the seed pod is what causes the seeds to go down into the earth and germinate and grow a new tree. The light that stimulates the red flames, the one that we were saying that I just said was pure and crystalline and love, that light, on the other hand, represents the piercing ray of illumination, banishing the darkness in our consciousnesses. Good so far. But even so, when it finally arrives, this heavenly laser can burn just like criticism, smiting and stinging as if we were being castigated for our imperfections. So that light of love can be tough love sometimes. If you find yourself suddenly polarizing, however, it is time to view your opposite as a partner and reciprocal, the same way your right and left hands function, or the way Mars and Venus operate as mates. And so, left, right, Venus, Mars, separate, good, together, better. Especially when they don't come together in conflict, when they come together in cooperation, even better. So, we've got that duality here, right? And sometimes this harsh light can hurt, even though it is the ray of love. Sometimes this dark, smoky stuff creates the fertilizer for new growth. So let me tell you about my day. My day was okay. It was not bad, not great, but not bad. Like I said, I didn't sleep well last night, but I rode my bicycle for the first time in a month. I did my 40-minute ride to work and my 40-minute ride back in the rain, and it was more difficult than I thought it might be, but I got through it. It was fine. I'm glad I did it, and I'm going to do it again tomorrow. So I got to work, and I found something very interesting on the door to my office that I had not seen in over a month. Well, my office that I had not seen in over a month. On the door, I found something very interesting. What was that? It was a timetable for classes. Not my classes, a timetable for classes. That indicated that in my office, there was going to be a class taught by some professor I don't know. My office is not a classroom. So I took a picture of it, went down, showed the secretary, and eventually it was figured out that I suppose they'd entered the wrong room in the computer. So then when they were just printing out things to paste on doors, my office got printed out as a place where one class was being held, and it got stuck on my door just as the person was going around sticking all the papers with room numbers on the doors with those numbers. Nobody was really thinking about what they were doing, I think. So it wasn't really it wasn't a problem really. I was a little bit surprised, and I've got, I don't know, do you have this problem where you see something out of whack and you get these little voices of, well, maybe this is a hint that you're going to have to move offices, or maybe you just got fired. It wasn't a serious worry. I wasn't, oh my God, they think, oh my God, none of that. But that little voice in the back of my head is saying, oh, maybe they fired you. Maybe you don't have a job here anymore. Maybe they're taking over your office and using it as a classroom next semester. And so, like I said, I wasn't really panicked. So what did I do today? I spent the morning in my office watching video lectures on harassment and sexual harassment and sexual trafficking and domestic violence, because professors are supposed to be watching these classes to sensitize themselves to potential problems with their students and other people in the university. So I watched those and I answered the questions. It took longer than I expected, but it wasn't a problem. I was a little bit critical, but not horribly. I mean, I didn't think the whole thing was trash. I was actually fairly impressed with the way they did most of it, considering it was originally done in Korean and then they tried to move it over into English for those of us who do not speak Korean. I speak Korean, but not all of the foreign professors do. And listening to a 2.5-hour video presentation on these subjects in Korean would have been very draining for me anyways, so I was very grateful to be able to watch it in English. And then I charted out my schedule for next semester. I looked at the computer and I saw which classes I'd be teaching, and I put them into a master schedule for myself, and was fairly pleased with the schedule I've got. I'm very happy with it. I have to go teach on another campus, but only one day, and all the classes that one day are on the other campus, so it's not going to be a horrible day. I mean, a horrible semester. A little bit more difficult than other semesters perhaps, but I'm actually pretty happy. And then I decided to go dive in and do some arrangement of decks. I'd received some decks while I was away, so I cataloged those decks, and I noticed that there had been some problems with decks I had ordered on, what do we call it? I backed on Kickstarter what do we call it? Decks I backed on Kickstarter, the surveys. I hadn't received surveys, or there were a couple of problems, so I went in and solved those problems, and I made some plans for decks I would order later in the semester, later in this month, and pretty much that's how my day went. It was pretty good. Conflict, I mean, this dichotomy didn't present itself so strongly. It wasn't problematic. I may have learned some things watching those videos that I haven't completely processed yet, possible. I had some ideas about decks I want to purchase to complement some other decks that I already have. That could be Ace of Swords kinds of stuff. I thought about some plans, but I was sure not to move into the process of activating those plans yet. I thought, let's wait a day. That was a suggestion. Let's just wait a day or two. And I tried to stay in satisfaction the whole day. And perhaps that's what might have helped mitigate potential conflict here. And perhaps I was able to burn some of the detritus and create new life, beginning to prepare for the new semester, planning things out, not beginning to work on the plan, but planning things out a little bit. So that's how my day went. Definitely not a Four of Wands day. Although I could have felt satisfaction, but that would have been a total Rider-Waite-Smith meaning for the Four of Wands, satisfaction, milestone kind of thing. I made the milestone. I started back at work today. But yeah, burst of light. That's, I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I'm missing something here in my day that I'm not acknowledging. That burst of insight, perhaps a burst of loving light, or maybe I missed an opportunity. That's also possible. We shall see. So friends, if you're still here, hit the thumbs up button so that YouTube knows that you enjoyed this and other people might enjoy it as well. Subscribe if you haven't been subscribed, and hit the alarm bell so that you get notifications of when I upload videos. And comment below. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think? What do you think of this card? This is a really interesting card, and it's very different from the Rider-Waite-Smith card, right? Rider-Waite-Smith, Two of Wands, it's planning. Yeah? We see the guy holding a globe, a whole world of possible potential. Yeah? Looking out over the seas and making decisions of what plan to pursue, or making decisions about what they want to create. This is different, right? And I've more of that idea of the tree of life here for me. It's a very interesting card. So, friends, if you want a private reading from me, there will be my email address below in the description box. Shoot me an email, say I'd like a reading, and we'll work it out. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.